there, everybody. It's Ellen Weatherford.
And Christian Weatherford.
And this is Just the Zoo of Us, your favorite animal review podcast where we rate your favorite animals out of 10 in the categories of effectiveness, ingenuity, and aesthetics.
We are not zoological experts, but we try to bring the most interesting and correct information that we can.
I have some interesting and correct information to share today.
Me too, I hope.
I do have a couple of things I want to talk about before we get into the main sort of content. I have some supplemental materials. First of which is a field note. Anyone who listened to the last episode we did together, we did field notes, which are submissions that were sent in by listeners, people sharing things like stories and observations and stuff like that. And this was sent in by Jules Leon, who was a guest on our episode about pinnipeds just a few weeks ago. And he just happened to send this in to me just right after we had already recorded the episode.
Okay.
So it didn't make it into the episode, but it's just such a funny story that I really wanted to share it.
Okay.
I think you're going to like it. So Jules, by the way, for anyone who didn't listen to the episode on pinnipeds a few weeks ago, if you haven't, you should. It was really, really fun. Jules is hilarious. Jules is a marine biologist. And so Jules writes, "Hi, Ellen. This one time, I assisted a shark researcher while working at the Hawaiian Institute of Marine Biology, and we were doing a study on the vertical migration of scalloped hammerheads." So, quick side note, vertical migration means traveling up and down the water column. So they might go up towards the surface at one point of day and then back down into the depths at another point in day. That's the up and down.
Yeah.
That's what that means. And what happens to their physiology while they make these deep dives? Anyways, I don't know why he typed it like that, but he typed it specifically like that.
Okay.
We used a long line, which is a long fish line with multiple lines and hooks hanging off of it with bits of tuna that is hooked up to an electronic reel that spools out. We set the line and wait for a while, and then we get a bite, and sure enough, we got a 9-foot-long scalloped hammerhead.
That's big.
Huge. That's huge for them. We reeled it in some and got it into tonic immobility, which is flipping the animal upside down and putting it in a state of temporary paralysis.
I'm glad there's a name for that.
Just flip them. As with the horseshoe crabs, but the other way. Just flip them.
Or with the cat.
Yeah, you just flip them. It was my job to hang on to the pectoral fins of the shark while everyone else prepared the tags and other scientific instruments. As I'm holding on to the shark, I start to get feeling a weird tingling sensation in my hands. Could this be the origin story to me developing superpowers, I thought to myself? Or perhaps I'm having a stroke at the age of 22. And even for a brief moment, I thought I had made an astonishing discovery that this hammerhead shark was no mere scalloped hammerhead species, but perhaps I was discovering an electric hammerhead shark.
Okay.
As I felt my hands tingling, I thought to myself what an astonishing discovery this was, and to be at the helm of a scientific discovery. But what we came to realize as we stopped putting all of our attention to the shark, we realized that in the process of putting the shark in tonic immobility, the shark had thrashed and splashed so much water into the boat that the battery of the reel had gotten soaked, and we were all standing in a foot or two of water and being casually electrocuted.
I see.
So we were just in standing electrocuted water.
Huh.
And all just conducting electricity amongst themselves. Jules writes, "My discovery dreams were shattered, and then I briefly got over that, and we went into safety mode. I continued to hang on to the shark while the rest of the team focused on getting water out of the boat, as we were kind of low-key sinking." Just a little bit.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be inside the boat, as I understand.
Front's not supposed to fall off. So now 2 problems. You're being electrocuted and sinking at the same time. And also there's a 9-foot-long shark in your boat.
Who is probably, by extension, being electrocuted.
Yeah, that's true. Shark's also having a bad time.
Double stunned.
We were able to continue working on the shark and got some tags and other scientific instruments on it, and were able to safely release back into the wild and coming back to shore with an electrifyingly epic tale. And I wrote back, "Wow, Jules, this story is pretty shocking."
Yeah.
With the sunglasses emoji also.
Oh, good. The shark said, "Don't tase me, bro."
Too late.
Now, is a scalloped head hammerhead the one that has a round hammer shape? Or a spade, kind of?
Now, Christian, what do you think the word scalloped means?
I forget.
I'm pretty sure I've told you this specifically on this show.
I forget, though.
So the scalloped shape is where it has the little sort of bumps, like round bumps.
Oh, okay.
On the front of it. So it's the lumpy looking one. It's the one that has the sort of bumps on the front of it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not the round one. Are you thinking of a bonnet head?
Yes, I am.
The tiny one?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not 9 feet long either.
That's why that was especially surprising to me. Like, whoa.
Yeah, that's crazy. And also they have electric powers. So I thought that story was really funny. And I did not want to let that one sit in my inbox. I thought the world had to know about that. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about before we get into the real sort of teeth of the episode is this whole direwolf situation. Is this anything to you?
I saw it casually on like Facebook.
Yeah.
Didn't really read it.
Had some people like send articles about it to me, and obviously being who I am, people think, oh, there's, animal stuff in the headlines.
Sure.
Ellen's going to be really excited about this. I'm going to send this over. And being who I am, I just need like a couple hater minutes.
Okay.
Can we come into my hater corner? If you'll give me a 5 to 30 minutes to just be an extreme hater. Okay, so the story that's been going around is that this like biomedical company has, in their words, de-extincted the direwolf.
Okay.
Which for people who have maybe only ever heard of the direwolf in like Game of Thrones or Dungeons and Dragons or something,
sure.
May not realize that this was an actual, like the dire wolves in fantasy are based on an actual real life animal that went extinct. So dire wolves were a very, very large canine that lived in North America during the Pleistocene, so during like the Ice Age.
Sure.
About as large as like today's largest wolves. So they were quite large. Not actually wolves. They weren't even in the Canis genus. They were in like their own genus, and they had diverged from wolves long before. So wolves are more closely related to things like jackals than they are to the direwolf.
Okay.
So direwolves, went extinct a very, very long time ago. They're thought to have gone extinct because of the extinction of a lot of the megafauna that was also going extinct. They would prey on things like mastodons and ground sloths and like very, very large, herbivores that aren't around anymore. So when their prey died out, they also died out. Now, fast forward to today, to 2025, and this company says that they have de-extincted dire wolves. They've made new ones.
Okay.
So they now have this litter of puppies. It's these 3 pups that they say are now dire wolf pups.
Okay.
But here's how they did it. And here's why issue number 1 that I have is that the way that they made these, you can't see my hands, but I'm doing air quotes, dire wolf pups, is that they looked at the like genome and like the genetic code for dire wolves that they took from fossil samples, and like they looked at the actual like genomes for dire wolves, and they analyzed it, and they're like, okay, based on these genes, they probably would have had like this type of coat, and they would have had, they like identified some physical traits that they would have had, and then they took just the plain old gray wolf genome, Canis lupus.
Okay.
And then edited that genome, used like CRISPR to like edit the genes.
Sure.
To say, okay, we want them to have this gene that like codes for a pale coat. We want them to have this gene that makes them like larger. So they just edited the genes of a regular gray wolf to give them physical features that they believe dire wolves would have had. So this was not, a lot of people like are misunderstanding what's going on here.
Yeah.
This is not like a hybrid. It's not like a chimera. It's just a gray wolf that they just tweaked to have some of the same physical characteristics that a dire wolf would have.
Yeah.
It's just a gray wolf that looks a little different. It's like a palette swap for a gray wolf.
Which is something our species is quite famous for. Like
we've done this. They're called dogs.
Yeah.
So immediately right off the bat, like once again, direwolf not even in the same genus, Canis, like not a wolf at all.
Is there even a direct ancestor still alive?
No, there are no descendants of the direwolf.
Okay, so there you go.
Yeah. So, right off the bat, I'm like, I don't like that they're using language that doesn't accurately describe what they're doing.
Sure.
Because what they're saying is we have actual dire wolves. We brought dire wolves back. They're back from extinction.
Yeah.
When that's not really what happened. You have wolves that kind of look like dire wolves, and not even look like dire wolves. They look like what you think dire wolves would have looked like, you know, like
because Game of Thrones used huskies.
Yeah. Honestly, like in the promo, like photos that they took of these direwolf puppies, they're sitting on an iron throne, like a Game of Thrones. This is 100,000,000% like a PR thing.
Sure,
like
I get it. Get your bag.
Get that bag.
Get your funding.
So I don't know. I was just annoyed, you know, that I was like, that's not it. And also, I've already talked about my sort of complicated feelings towards like de-extinction like biomedical de-extinction. I talked about that in our thylacine episode and how it all feels kind of icky to me.
Yeah.
Because you're like creating this animal and bringing it into a world that it's not meant to be in, that it has no chance at like surviving in.
And also one that even modern wolves have a hard time in. Right.
Like even modern wolves are struggling. But the thing is, like, dire wolves went extinct because all their prey went extinct.
Right.
Their prey does not exist anymore. Like they are not meant for the world we currently have. And you've now brought them into the world that they're not suited for, that they're not adapted to. And like, I just feel like that's a lot of like resources and a lot of funding that we could be using to actually like protect and conserve species that are like that we have now that are on the brink of extinction.
Yeah.
Like that's what like we see de-extinction stories that happen from like captive breeding programs. Like it's not like, oh, we did CRISPR gene editing and, you know, brought, you know, it's not Jurassic Park stuff. It's like, oh yeah, we brought all the condors into captivity and bred them and raised them and re-released them. Like that's de-extinction. Like we could be doing something like that. But instead, we got to do Jurassic Park stuff. For what? You know? Like, I don't know. I guess I'm a hater. I guess I don't like to have fun. No fun allowed, I guess.
Sometimes lessons got to be learned the hard way.
Yeah.
At a massive scale.
I just read this book. I read quite a few books recently, like science fiction novels on the topic of de-extinction. And one of them was called Extinction, and it was by Douglas Preston. It's like a murder mystery, weirdly enough, but had some interesting takes on basically this exact thing, like companies that do de-extinction for profit. And the sort of ethical slippery slopes that can take, you know, because I don't know, I'm like, now you're creating animals with the intention of only ever keeping them in captivity and like you having a monopoly on an entire species. Right? Like you now own this, like a private company now like owns this entire species, which is so creepy and weird to me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It all gives me the ick. I don't like it at all. And I don't like that they're like being dishonest in their like marketing about it.
Yeah.
I will say AP had the best headline on it. Every headline I've seen about this story has been like, dire wolves brought back from extinction. You know, like everything, it's been like that. Everything has been just like taking this company completely at their word for it. But AP News, their headline was, scientists genetically engineer wolves with white hair and jaws like the extinct dire wolf. Like, that's a much more accurate headline. They made a wolf that kind of looks more like it doesn't even have like all of the traits of the dire wolf, right? It's just like they have some things that a dire wolf probably had.
Yeah.
So we talked about this in the thylacine episode because we talked about like the same exact thing. People saying they're going to make a new thylacine. With the thylacine, that makes a little more sense because they went extinct so recently.
Sure.
And it makes sense that they would have had a chance, like if we hadn't specifically targeted them.
Yeah.
They would still do fine in their current like habitat, but also that feeling of like, oh, we can just bring them back makes us take extinction a little less seriously, right? I think it makes people feel like, oh, why would we need to conserve the species? If they go extinct, we can just bring them back.
True.
Like, I think it makes us not take conservation as seriously.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've already discussed my weird, complicated feelings on de-extinction in the past, so I don't mean to rehash them too much. That was a few years ago, but I don't know. I've had a lot of people ask me how I feel about the direwolf story.
I see.
So I wanted to get my feelings out there so that next time someone says, how do you feel about the direwolf situation? I can say, you'd know if you listened to my podcast.
That's what we needed. More times to say that.
Oh, yeah. This has all been SEO for the podcast. So, yeah, that's the direwolf thing, I guess. I really wanted to talk about that.
Cool.
So, yeah, with that out of the way, Christian, it's your turn to present your animal first.
Oh, boy. It's been a minute.
It has been.
So, somewhat related.
Oh, yeah, true.
This week, I'll be talking about the American paddlefish.
Let me hear about this little guy.
Scientific name, Polyodon spathula.
Polyodon sounds like a Pokemon name.
It does.
Does it mean lot of tooth?
Don't know.
Okay.
Forgot to look.
Wait, what was the second part? What was the species name?
Spathula.
Spathula.
Yeah.
Can you hear me on spathula?
I suspect that's supposed to be pronounced spatula, but it looks like it's supposed to be pronounced spathula with a TH.
Great. They look kind of like they would be spathula.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. So Sarah Palm sent us a request for the Chinese paddlefish as part of an extinct animals episode because that animal is extinct. However, we don't have any plans for that at the moment.
This would have been a great time for it, wouldn't it?
Sure. But I really want to talk about these guys in general. So the American paddlefish is the most closely related extant species to the Chinese paddlefish.
Sarah, thank you for your request. Sorry that we had to sort of tweak it to suit our personal desires. Hope this counts as close enough.
Yes. And I'll be getting my information from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, fws.gov, as well as the Animal Diversity Web.
Yay.
Yes.
So fill in that square on your bingo cards for Animal Diversity Web.
Yeah. So it is a fish.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent.
A rather large freshwater fish.
It's a big guy.
Up to 438 pounds and 7 feet long.
That's huge.
I thought this number was a bit large, especially the weight, 438 pounds.
Do you think this is a fishtail?
Perhaps.
We've talked about that before with like, especially fish that people catch for sport, is that like the
length sounds about right, but the weight seems inflated.
Yeah, reported sizes can get particularly murky with fish.
Yeah.
What is it about fish specifically
I don't know,
that
man.
makes people want to like be like, I caught one that was 8 million pounds?
Now for our metric listeners, that is 199 kilograms and 2.1 meters.
Thanks for translating.
Of course. Now, where these can be found, as the name might imply, the United States, in the Mississippi River Basin, from New York to Montana and south to Louisiana.
Ooh, that sounds like a song.
Yeah. Formerly the Great Lakes Basin, too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
No.
Sorry, guys. We took all your big old fish.
Yeah. So I want to talk about what they kind of look like. The biggest thing about this fish you would probably first notice is the very paddle-like nose or rostrum on its face.
It's a honker.
Yes.
I mean, it looks like someone stuck a canoe paddle just like right on the nose of the darn thing.
It kind of looks like what fraternities refer to as a paddle a little bit. That shape.
Yeah.
Think of a sawtooth fish or shark. I forget.
Yeah.
But without the teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, without the cool parts.
Yeah.
Without the parts that do something.
They do have something I would describe as somewhat shark-shaped body. The eyes, though, kind of give it away as not being that. And its mouth has a big, like an open mode, like a wah. Yeah. And I'll explain why that is. No.
Not an E, it's an O.
Yeah. And I'll explain why that is later. But before then, they belong to the taxonomic family Polyodontidae, the paddlefish. And like we mentioned, this is the only extant species in this family. The Chinese paddlefish was unfortunately declared extinct in 2020 after not being seen alive since 2003.
That's so recent, I feel like. They also gave it a pretty lengthy grace period there, huh? They gave it a little while.
Yes. However, their order, the Acipenseriformes, is shared with sturgeons.
Okay. The big freshwater fam of North America.
Yes. So before I even get into our main categories, I had one thing I want to talk about.
Okay.
You may have heard about the hybridization between paddlefish and sturgeon.
You're telling me now for the first time.
You've never heard this before?
No, I've never heard this before.
This was big news a couple of years back.
Oh, man, I totally missed it.
Referred to as the sturddlefish.
I just broke our microphones, I think.
So very interesting. And this was published in a paper from 2020. So what scientists were doing, they were trying to induce what's called gynogenesis of Russian sturgeon eggs. What that means is fish, in this case, the fish egg being made to start developing into a fish by the presence of sperm, but not actually taking in the DNA material of the sperm.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know what? The Amazon Molly did something like that, where they were all, it was technically parthenogenesis, but it still had to be like triggered by mating with a male.
Sure.
Or like there still had to be the involvement of the male, but the offspring had no genetic contribution from the male.
So that's what they were trying to attempt, because the Russian sturgeon is endangered and is popular for things like caviar and that sort of thing.
That part I knew.
So what they were trying to do is they were trying to take female Russian sturgeons in their eggs and induce gynogenesis using the sperm of American paddlefish.
Oh.
Now here's what's interesting about that.
They're like, good news, it worked. Bad news. Not in the way we wanted it to.
So here's the thing with hybrids, right? I guess the earliest failure, right, could be, sperm does try to enter the egg and then it just fails right off the bat right there and you end up with a dead egg, right? So what they were trying to do here, because they weren't expecting fertilization, was they had two control groups. One where the sperm was irradiated and one where it wasn't.
That sounds like a great way to get a fish superhero.
Well, the idea was the irradiated sperm, the DNA was too damaged to even do anything.
Sure.
Right. But what happened, though, is that second group that wasn't did result in successful hybrids, the sturddlefish.
This is so funny to me because it's like clearly that wasn't the intended discovery.
Right.
They were trying to make a discovery, just not that one.
Yeah.
So do you think that after that happened, they had to like in a panic change the titles of their papers? Be like, we were looking for something different.
Now this is especially surprising from a taxonomy perspective.
Yeah.
Because they evolved 184 million years apart from each other on opposite sides of the planet.
They're not the same genus at all, right?
They're in the same order, but that's it.
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah.
And that really kind of throws a wrench in, like, one of the ways that people try to describe, like, what a species is, is, like, whether you can produce offspring, like, together. And that's, like, not even close.
Yeah.
Usually, like, in the same genus is, like, a stretch.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's wild.
Yeah. And they're also very different kinds of fish.
Yeah. They're so different.
Yeah. Now, they had two types of hybrids come out of this. One where it looked more like the sturgeon, and the other looked like a 50-50 mix of the sturgeon and the paddlefish.
Oh, that's the wildest.
So what it ended up being is like sturgeon have like kind of a pointy nose off the bat, and then so its nose was extended, but not anywhere near as long as a paddlefish.
Right.
You can these are pictures you can look up, by the way.
I'm doing it right now.
You'll probably see the first picture you'll find is like 4 different pictures, like stacked vertically. Yeah. And it's from the paper.
Okay. I saw this picture. The picture looks familiar now, but I didn't know what I was looking at.
Can I make sure it's the one I'm thinking of?
Is it this one right here?
Yes. So in that picture, the top one is the Russian sturgeon, and the bottom one is the American paddlefish, and then the second and third are the hybrids.
You do have this kind of gradient in between them, like you can see them sort of like, oh, that's interesting. It's like anamorphs, but from one fish to a different
that's
fish.
Funny. I was trying to figure out why they ordered it that way, and that makes sense.
The anamorph. They're
setting it up as a spectrum between. That's funny.
The 4 genders.
So very interesting, unexpected outcome. They're healthy. They're assumed sterile, which is very common in hybrids.
Right.
And they're not planning on making more because their whole goal was kind of supplementing the, caviar industry.
Right.
So a sterile fish isn't going to help.
Yeah, they're like, that's the opposite of what we wanted. This is nothing.
Yeah.
Thanks for nothing, science. Like, we did make an absolutely paradigm shifting, groundbreaking discovery, and it is completely economically useless.
Yeah. Interesting though. And that they published these findings in the paper titled, it's a mouthful, Hybridization of Russian Sturgeon American Paddlefish and Evaluation of Their Progeny in a 2020 edition of Genes Journal. And also,
where I get my genes.
Yeah. So it's, and also some of this information came from an accompanying article about this paper from the Smithsonian Magazine titled Scientists Accidentally Bred a School of Sturddlefish by Teresa McAmer in 2020.
Oh, nice. I also just like the name sturddlefish.
Yes.
That's really fun.
So that was my taxonomy thing for the episode.
Thank you. Wow, you did it. You made taxonomy cool.
Now,
I riff on taxonomy with love. I roast taxonomy lovingly.
Yeah. So into our first category, and for those that are new listeners, our first category is of effectiveness, describing physical attributes, things that they have that let them do the things they want to do. I'm giving an 8 out of 10 for the American paddlefish.
Is it 1 point for every inch of snout they got?
Could be. They are very large. It's thought to help avoid being eaten.
That's a big old guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I imagine in at least the southern part of their range, they probably share environments with alligators and
well, also, yes, gators will get you. Well, but I mean, once you hit a certain size.
Yeah, the gator's probably not coming after you.
The gator's not going to bother with you. Gar will eat you when you're smaller.
Yeah.
But something that you talked about forever ago, in some of those rivers, you got to worry about bull sharks.
True.
Because bull sharks will swim up a ways.
Yeah.
So you got to worry about them a little bit.
True.
But, I mean, in those freshwater systems, you really don't get that many super big fish.
Right.
There's really not much that's that big.
Yeah. Speaking of water, they mainly prefer fresh water, but they can survive in brackish water, meaning a mix of fresh and salt water, typically where rivers will exit into the ocean. They like large rivers with deep, slow-moving, muddy water.
I mean, they would have to, right? You're not going to see an 18-wheeler going down some little 2-lane alley.
Yeah. Something that is very different from sturgeon. These are filter feeders. They have gill rakers, and their mouth wah thing is very reminiscent of basking sharks.
I was thinking whale sharks, but the basking shark is even more. They have that long
Yep. So,
now, sturgeon aren't filter feeders, but they suck things up off the bottom.
They'll go for actual things
but more so they're slurping stuff off the bottom.
Sure.
They're not, they're big and everything, and people get scared when they see them, but they're not coming for you.
I saw a recent video of one of those aquarium mermaids briefly finding her head in the mouth of a sturgeon.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That was actually okay. We're laughing. I'm sure that person's life flashed before their eyes. If that was me, I would have needed to change out of that fish tail immediately.
Yeah, because you're basically bound while doing that kind of thing. But anyway. So they have gill rakers. They're going for things like zooplankton in the water. So think small things, little things. And it works just like how the other animals we talk about with gill rakers. So they have a big open mouth. They're swimming through the water. What's that called? Ram filtering, I think. So it's moving water through their mouths and out their gills. And the gill rakers are keeping, small pieces of food inside their mouth to keep flowing towards the back of their throat.
Are they also ram ventilators?
Yes.
Oh.
That's the phrase I was looking for.
Okay. Well, I didn't know because that's for breathing. That's a respiratory thing. I didn't know if this was just for feeding or if this applied to their breathing.
Right. Yep.
That meaning that they have to keep moving to breathe.
I think so.
Would not be able to stop.
I think so, yeah. Next thing we'll talk about, their rostrum.
Yes, what's happening here? I can't believe it took you this long to get to this.
It required some setup, I feel. So first, it is covered in electroreceptors.
Okay.
Perhaps not surprising.
We've seen some things like this.
Yes.
We've seen things with big old honkers, and they help you, And this is a hypothesis for why hammerheads have that the cephalofoil in the front.
True.
That it gives it more surface area for more receptors.
Yeah, it makes sense. And those electroreceptors help them with migration and finding zooplankton.
Migration,
yes, which I'll talk a little bit more about in Ingenuity.
Okay.
But it does help them with that. So that rostrum is so sensitive that juveniles can find a single zooplankton up to 9 centimeters away by sensing the electrical signals given off from its muscle contractions.
It's on site.
Yeah.
They're locked in. Target found.
This is especially helpful in muddy waters.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. And a little bit about kind of how they're built. So they do have
different
cartilaginous skeletons.
Oh, this is giving a lot more shark than I thought.
It does.
Huh.
Which means their skeletons are primarily made of cartilage instead of bone. And they have something called a heterocercal tail, which means the upper tail lobe is larger than the lower.
I didn't know there was a word for that.
Yes.
Just seems like normal fish stuff.
Well, so this is where they're I guess, what would be a backbone extends into that upper lobe of the fin.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So making that upper lobe longer than the lower one, which, again, very shark-like.
Yeah. This is very shark.
Yeah.
It almost seems like just like a softer, what do I call it, a saw shark?
Yeah.
Sawfish. A
Sure.
sawfish is, I believe, related to rays.
Yeah.
But there's also the saw shark. I think they're different. Sawfish and saw shark.
Maybe. I don't remember.
I'm just looking up real quick. Okay, it was the sawfish I was thinking of. Sawfish, also known as carpenter sharks. They are rays. Okay, and they also have the rostrum. But theirs just has a bunch of teeth along the side of it. But even just looking at pictures of sawfish, I'm shocked that they're not more closely related to paddlefish. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, their jaws are very different. I got to see one of these actually very recently at the Georgia Aquarium.
A paddlefish?
No, the saw.
Oh, the sawfish.
Yes.
Oh,
got to see those weird bumpy crushing jaws that they have. Because I was walking through the big tube and they swam over.
Do you want to take a quick second to talk about the Georgia Aquarium? Because you got to see them recently.
Sure.
Make a pilgrimage.
Yeah. So I was.
It used to be an annual thing. We used to go to the Georgia Aquarium every year.
It did, because it was about a 6-hour drive or a 1-hour flight.
Yeah, and
from
you
where we
make
used to
a
live.
weekend trip of it. You know, there's so much to do in Atlanta, so we would go every year.
Yeah, but now we are considerably further away. But I have lots of family in the area, and I was there over a recent weekend for a cousin's wedding. And I found myself with some free time before my flight back. So I spent it at the Georgia Aquarium solo.
I feel like that's a nice way to experience a zoo or aquarium, because then you get to really dwell wherever you want to dwell.
It's true. I got some really cool footage of their Pacific giant octopus.
Oh, yeah. And that's you never see those things moving around. They're so lazy.
Yeah. So, love that aquarium,
Yeah.
Especially very into whale sharks
Where
and
else
manta rays.
Where else are you going to see them?
I think there's one other place on the other side of the world, but
yeah, there's in Hong Kong, I think.
I think so.
There's an aquarium in China, I think, that has whale sharks. But other than that, you got to see them in the wild.
Yeah. So lovely as always.
Nice. Okay, sorry to distract you, but go on ahead.
Oh, they don't have any scales.
Smooth in all directions.
Whereas sharks have the denticles.
Yeah.
But these don't even have that.
Oh, yes. That also sets them apart from sturgeons also, because sturgeons are they have those
armored,
scaly sort of. Yeah, they don't have scale, I guess. I mean, but it's like a leathery sort of rough texture, right? I don't know. I've heard that there are sturgeon touch tanks.
Yeah. Well, I told you that because the
I had heard because I think a kid sent in something about this last year for the kids questions episode.
Oh, okay.
Which, by the way, we're doing another one because of the Max Fun Drive. That was one of our things that we met one of our goals and got another kids questions episode. So start thinking about those. But last year, a kiddo sent in a question about sturgeon skin because they had touched one in a touch tank.
Yeah, so the Atlanta Aquarium has a sturgeon touch tank too.
You should have got in on that.
I thought about it.
Get in there, dog.
All the sturgeon were chilling in the center of the tank, away from touch distance. It's they obviously don't want to be touched right now.
They're like, no, thank you.
I'm gonna go look at other stuff.
Yeah, that was nice of you. That was kind. A respectful king.
Yep. So our next category of ingenuity, I'm giving a 6 out of 10. And ingenuity is things like smart things they can do, could be methods, tactics, that sort of thing. Couldn't find very much on this. But what I did find is mostly around their breeding. So earlier we mentioned migratory breeding. Much like the salmon of the Pacific Northwest, they do swim upstream to breed and spawn.
Interesting.
Yes.
Now with salmon, they're going like out to the ocean
Right,
and
they're
then
coming
back
from
into
the ocean
freshwater.
up, yeah.
And they're just going from freshwater to like different
Further up
freshwater.
freshwater, yeah.
I wonder why.
They swim upstream to find gravel or sandbars to do this.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So they do take the typical fish method of this, where the females will release a large number of eggs into the water, and the males will release what is called milt, which I think is just the fish term for sperm.
Yeah.
So they'll do that, and then in the hopes that that most will at least fertilize, and some of them will reach adulthood.
A real fins off approach to
Yes.
mating. They're like, here you go.
Yeah, because past that point, there is zero parental investment.
No, bye. See you guys later.
Like, I think there are some fish that'll like hang out with their little ones and let them swim
make sure
in
they
their mouth and
hatch
stuff.
or something.
But
no.
no.
That's a y'all problem.
It's a numbers game at that point.
Hope some of you don't die. I'll never think about any of you again.
Aesthetics. This is how cute or cool they are. Perhaps surprising or not, depending on how well you know me. Giving a 9 out of 10 for aesthetics.
Yeah, it seems like you would. I do feel like you would.
I think they're cool. They have a unique nose and a mouth that resembles a basking shark, which that's points right there for me.
You do like that. You are into that. They're kind of goofy.
Yeah.
They're kind of silly looking. They remind me a little bit of the goblin shark.
Yeah.
Especially in this picture right here.
Oh, yeah.
It's giving goblin shark a little bit.
Sure.
Now, the paddle also, the little rostrum on it does have this kind of like the splayed out end, like a spatula.
Yeah.
It does look like a little spatula. A spatula.
So, yeah, I think they look neat.
I mean, they just look so darn silly. They're just such little goober. I can't take this thing seriously.
Well, it's also nice to have a large fish in the system that you don't have to worry about trying to eat you.
Yeah, that's true.
Our last little thing is about conservation status. They are vulnerable. Population trend unknown as of the IUCN in their 2019 assessment.
But their cousins went extinct.
Yes.
Interesting.
They did.
Do you know if the...
Similar problems.
Oh, okay.
So, first of all, their roe, like I mentioned, their eggs are used for caviar, and its flesh is also eaten. It's supposed to be pretty pleasant, actually.
Oh.
So, overharvesting has been a big problem historically. Also, habitat destruction, particularly, just like with salmon, the construction of dams.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like paddlefish probably aren't used to making big jumps.
Yeah.
Because with salmon, you can build a ladder,
Yeah.
and the fish can get up the ladder and they can get through the dam. But with a paddlefish, I'd imagine it doesn't look like they could get a whole bunch of vertical.
Right.
It doesn't look like these things are getting air.
I don't think so, no.
Can you imagine like a belly flop, but it's that whole big flat nose just flopping right down on the water?
And when you look at them swim, they do that kind of swim like where they're having to basically undulate their whole body to do the swim.
I mean, they're heavy.
Yeah. And what's interesting, the American paddlefish at least has a bit of a problem with the introduced zebra mussel.
Oh.
Because they eat the same things.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think like big giant, I'm the big giant fish.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think they'd be like, oh no, here's my greatest competitor, a clam.
Yeah.
A small clam.
So yeah.
My one weakness.
So yeah, so those things have caused problems in those ecosystems.
There are problems for a lot of things, I feel like.
But in this case, it's because they're eating the same zooplankton that a filter feeder would eat. Yeah.
That'll get you every time. A long time ago, a guest that was on talking about freshwater sponges named Mallory McAnulty was talking about things that people can do to like be good stewards of their freshwater systems and stuff. And one of the things she mentioned that I had never thought about before, if you have a boat and you take your boat out of the water to wash it off and, give it a little scrub down before it goes into another body of water.
Right.
Because that's one way that invasive species, especially things like mussels that might not necessarily be like swimming through the water, like stuff like that will get on your boat And then when you put your boat into another body of water, that's how things like that spread. So one of the things she mentioned, like a way that you know, as just like the average everyday person can help, you know, be a good steward of your freshwater environments is by making sure that you're not like cross-contaminating, like making sure that you wash off things like boats or shoes, you know, even if you have like water shoes or something like that, like life jackets, you know, stuff that goes in the water to wash it off before you put it in a different body of water.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I hope that the American paddlefish doesn't go the way of the Chinese paddlefish.
There has been lots of conservation efforts, so they are more restricted in certain areas for fishing and such. They are considered sports fish in lots of areas. They are kept in, what are those called? Not fisheries, but fish farms, I think.
Like a hatchery, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so it is something that is being kept track of, at least now.
I wonder if there's any talk about like introducing American paddlefish where the Chinese paddlefish went extinct.
There are areas of Europe, at least, that have some introduced populations of the American paddlefish.
On purpose?
Yes.
Or,
I think for the purpose of caviar and such.
Oh, well, I mean, I meant more like restoring like a sort of ecological balance, you know, like because like this is a large presence that's now missing from the from that freshwater ecosystem. I was wondering if there would be any value to like introducing the American paddlefish to pick up the, you know, I don't know, to take that place. But I don't know, maybe that would do more harm than good.
I didn't see anything specifically for that. I saw lots of mentions of, you know, there's lots of imports to that part of the world from the United States, but again, for the purpose of raising fish for their roe. Well,
I mean, I guess we can learn the lesson, right? Of like, hey, we've seen them go extinct within living memory.
Yeah.
Like, let's take this seriously as a threat and actually protect what we have rather than try to reverse engineer them in 50 years.
Yeah.
Oh, we made a sturgeon look kind of like a paddlefish. We de-extincted the paddlefish.
And you know what? I forgot to look into how these are caught, because being filter feeders, they're not going to go for like a baited hook, right?
Yeah, but they're also huge. I feel like you could just reach in and grab them. Like,
I don't know.
Hillbilly hand fishing, that's what they do. You got to get right in there. You just jump in, wrap your arms around it. That's how you catch it.
There you go.
Thank you, baby.
Of course.
That was really fun. I like this big goofy guy.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a quick break to hear from our friends on the Max Fun Network, and we'll get to my animal.
Dr. Game Show is a podcast where we play games submitted by listeners with callers from all around the world, and this is a game to get you to listen. Name 3 reasons to listen to Dr. Game Show. Kyla and Lunar from Freedom, Maine.
Dishes, folding the laundry, doing cat grooming.
Okay, thank you. Great.
Oh, things you could do while listening. Yeah.
I love that I'm like, why do you listen to this show? And Lunar's like, dishes. Fantastic. Manolo.
Number 1 is that it'll inspire you. You're going to be like, oh, I could do that.
That's all we have time for, but you'll just have to find Dr. Game Show on Maximum Fun to find out for yourself.
Say you like video games, and who doesn't?
I mean, some people probably don't.
Okay, but a lot of people do. So say you're one of those people, and you feel like you don't really have anyone to talk to about the games that you like.
Well, you should get some better friends.
Okay, yes, you could get some better friends, but you could also listen to Triple Click, a weekly podcast about video games hosted by me, Kirk Hamilton.
Me, Maddie Myers.
And me, Jason Schreier. We talk about new releases, old classics, industry news, and whatever, really.
We'll show you new things to love about games, and maybe even help you find new friends to talk to about them.
Triple Click. It's kind of like we're your friends. Find us at MaximumFun.org or wherever you get your podcasts.
What do you got for us this week, Ellen?
This week, I'm honored and delighted to present to you the Pigbutt worm. It's exactly what it sounds like.
Are you sure?
Now, it's not a worm that lives in pig butts,
okay.
Which I understand is maybe one interpretation of the name. It's a worm that looks like a pig butt. And when I say it looks like a pig, I mean it looks startlingly like a pig butt.
Okay.
Although it's missing a tail. There's no tail. But yeah, it does look a lot like a pig butt.
Okay.
It's a spot on name. By the way, during this segment, we're going to be talking a lot about butts. and stuff like that. There's some gnarly bits in this one. So if you don't, maybe if you're listening with young, impressionable ears that might be repeating butt-related words ad nauseum, like some people in our house
who are asleep, who
are currently better be asleep right now. So just fair warning, we're going to talk about butts a lot during this segment. This species' scientific name is Chaetopterus puga porcinus.
Interesting.
And puga porcinus is like the Latin translation for looks like a pig's butt.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wait.
Which I thought was fun, that they put that in the scientific name.
Wait, what does sinus mean?
The inus part, I-N-U-S, was the like suffix that means like looks like.
I see.
Yeah.
Huh.
And then puga means rear end.
Okay.
And porcus is pig. You ever wonder why we call it pork? It's because of the Latin word pork.
Oh.
The species was submitted by Krista Shackelford. Thank you, Krista, for bringing this to my desk. This was one of those things where like I keep seeing their photos and stuff floating around. And it's always in these little snippets. Like it's always in these like little like video thumbnails or something quite like, you know, just this little thing of like, haha, look at this weird creature. Isn't it funny?
Right.
And I never really sunk my teeth into it and like really figured out what was going on here. So when Krista submitted a formal request for us to go over one, I looked into it and I was like, there's something here.
Okay.
I'm getting my information almost entirely from Mbari's website, which is mbari.org. That stands for Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute. One of the like leading deep sea research, you know, marine biology programs like in the world. They're the ones that do most of the like those like deep sea ROV dives and stuff like that. They're like the only ones who have ever studied this animal ever.
Sure.
So like all of the information about these animals is through Mbari's website and also from the paper titled Description and Relationships of Chaetopterus puga porcinus, an unusual pelagic polychaete, Annelidae Chaetopteridae. And that was by Karen J. Osborne et al. In March of 2007. And that paper was the formal description of the species.
Okay.
So that was like the species being like established. Yeah. This is a deep sea creature. So it's a deep sea weirdo. It's a real goblin-y freak down there. Hasn't been observed or studied that much because we just haven't seen that many of them. So not a ton really known about them, but the stuff that I found was pretty juicy. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about and have never seen this little guy before, so a lot of common names that like roast animals, a lot of times, especially you see this with birds, an animal will just be named something that like totally drags them. And a lot of times I feel like they're kind of a stretch, but this one is not. This is spot on. Like that's a pig butt 100%. So what this looks like is a disembodied pair of butt cheeks. It looks like a balloon with a butt crack.
Yeah.
Like just floating through the abyss. So that's what we're dealing with here. And
Sure.
it has some sort of like blobby features on it that I'll explain what they are in a little bit.
Could you give us a sense of scale?
I'm so glad you asked. They are 0.8 inches long, described by the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute as, quote, about the size of a hazelnut.
Okay.
So not that big.
No.
They're quite little. And I did mention that the size is difficult to tell from photos. This is one of those things where like when you see a picture of something that lives in the deep sea and there's not organic life within like 2 miles of it, right? Like it's so difficult to tell from a photo how big this thing is. And these pictures and these photos are taken with like 4K Ultra HD cameras, right? So like the amount of detail you get from it looks like it would be something very large. It's not. It's like the size of the like end of your finger.
Right.
Yeah. So this is actually kind of a little guy. And it's especially hard to get a sense of scale from photos because at the depths that they live, the immense pressure would immediately crush any banana that could be used for scale. Can't get it.
We need to develop a deep sea banana.
Pigbutt worms have been collected from a sort of range of depths around 1,000 meters. The range is from 875 meters to 1,200 meters. Not any higher, not any lower. Even when that's not like the bottom of the ocean. Like it goes deeper than that, but they don't go deeper than that. And this is in the midnight zone, so there's no light at this level. And I'll talk a little bit more about why they've settled into this pretty narrow range of depths. There's like a weirdly specific reason for it.
Okay.
They have only been found around the coasts of Central California, so in the Monterey Bay and the Channel Islands area. But that's not to say that they only live there. That's just the only place they've been seen. Because these are little guys in a big ocean, right? Like,
and Central California being where Mbari is based out of.
Right. And they are the ones doing the most sort of like deep sea research. So like, yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that we just haven't found them anywhere else. They were only first seen in 2001 by remote operated vehicles on research dives in Monterey Bay. 8 of them were observed and collected between 2001 and 2006, and the species was formally described and named in 2007. So this is pretty recent.
Do you think they came up with the name on stream?
I read it. I feel like I read an interview where people were like, as soon as they saw it on the feed, like for the ROV, because this was before they were doing like streaming, right?
Okay, yeah.
Like, but that as soon as it came up on the feed, someone said, it looks like a pig's butt. And everyone just like laughed.
Write that down.
Good for them. I'm glad they were having fun with it. So they belong to a taxonomic family called Chaetopteridae. This is a family of polychaete worms. We've talked about polychaete worms a couple of times on this show, but just to recap what they are, these are segmented worms. So worms that have a segmented body, and each segment of their body has a pair of these little fleshy, wiggly appendages that usually have little bristles coming off of them. They're also called bristle worms because they have this bristly sort of appearance.
Was the bone worm one of them?
Ossidax? I don't think the bone worm was a polychaete. Let me double check that before. Oh, it is. You're right. You had it right. The Ossidax is a polychaete worm.
Oh, neat.
So yeah, that brings us up to now. This is now the 4th polychaete we've talked about on the show before, with the others being the bobbit worm from episode 35 and the Christmas tree worm from episode 172. The bone-eating snot flower was episode. Which I feel like I did that just because I wanted to say that out loud.
Sure.
Okay, Bone-Eating Snotflower was episode 225. So yeah, we've talked about them a few times on the show. Now, normally the sort of polychaete lifestyle involves living in a sort of U-shaped tube that the worm makes out of mucus and sediment that they either bury into the sand or under the ocean floor, or they stick it on rocks or something like that. In the bone-eating worms case, they kind of burrow like into the bone of whales, which is pretty cool. So usually they create this sort of tube that the worm lives inside.
Right.
Oh, and the sort of bristly appendages off their side are called parapodia, and they act kind of like little fins. The best sort of like visual description I can give is like, think of like a wet centipede.
Okay.
They're like a water centipede. They have that, like, you know, the segments and then a pair of little appendages coming off of each segment.
I felt like the bobbit worm was especially centipede-like with its mandibles.
Yeah, they are the spiritual successor to the centipede.
Yeah.
And they have the attitude, too.
Yeah.
Feisty. So the really puzzling thing about the pigbutt worm is that, to knowledge, it doesn't do any of that stuff. Like, it doesn't follow any of the sort of polychaete rules, basically. It does have body segments, but the front and the back segments are basically just like as compressed as they can get. They just shrunk down as like flat as they can make them. They've got these like extremely compressed first and last segments, and then that middle segment is just blown up like a balloon, like just inflated. So it gives it this spherical shape where the butt part that you're looking at is basically just the middle segment of their body that they've just like inflated and filled with water into like a balloon.
So they just stopped at 3.
They're like, that's good. That's enough. We got it. We got all we needed. So they've got this middle segment that's like blown up like a balloon, and then a ciliated groove, which means ciliated means that they're lined with cilia, and cilia are these like hair-like little bristles. The ciliated groove is the part that runs down that inflated part in the middle. That's the butt crack.
Yeah.
So the butt crack is a ciliated groove, and it's just this sort of like ridge that's like lined with little cilia.
Oh, interesting.
I guess you could say this episode is a little sillier than
Oh
usual.
my gosh. All right, now you gotta tell me what it's for.
Oh, I will. I did have in my notes lengthy pause for uproarious laughter and applause.
You can add that in post if you want.
Yeah. Can I get a clean take of laughter from you so that I can I get some B-roll of you laughing? That I can just... Actually, if I could just get you to laugh a few times, then every time I make a joke, you don't actually have to laugh at my jokes anymore.
You surely have enough material for this.
Okay, so for effectiveness, I'm giving the pigbutt worm a 6 out of 10, which I still feel is generous. So polychaete worms generally, even though they do, mostly as adults, they live in these tubes, usually like on the ocean floor. They do have a planktonic larval stage, which means that as babies, the very first stage of their life, they are little bits of plankton that freely drift through the water. They might be freely swimming, but that's their planktonic stage. They're very, very tiny. They drift through the water until they settle on the ocean floor and begin that sort of like adult stage of life. So it's kind of possible that the pigbutt worm specimens that have been found so far are just the larval form of a worm that eventually matures into something that like lives in a tube at the bottom, like all the other polychaete worms do.
Right.
Basically, like the idea is like this can't be the final draft of this animal. Like, there's gotta be more, right? Like this can't be where we stop.
You're given a random page out of an IKEA furniture instruction manual.
This can't be where y'all landed evolutionarily. But here's the thing: if that were the case, the pigbutt worm is particularly enormous. So it's twice the size of any known polychaete larva. And in its family of the Chaetopterids, it is 10 times the size of the larval form of any of its relatives.
Sure.
So it's enormous, which means its adult form would be huge. Like its adult form would have to be massive.
Okay.
And it's very unlikely that we wouldn't have noticed something that big.
I'm holding out for undiscovered large giant worm in the ocean.
Well, but here's the thing. We would have seen them at like whale falls and stuff. Something that big.
That's what made the whale fall in the first place.
Whoa. So you're saying that this 7-foot worm swam up the water column, took out a whale.
Yeah.
How's it doing it?
Imagine a giant bobbit worm just splitting the whale in half.
That's so much worse. So yeah, it would
Alaskan bullworm. Someone get Sandy Cheeks on the horn.
Oh, I got some Sandy Cheeks for you right here.
Dang it. Walked right into it.
You did. Basically, the size is one thing. Like, it is much, much larger than you would expect it to be if it was the larva of something that was just going to develop later. But also, the pigbutt worm specimens that have been collected also had some distinctly adult features. Now, these get kind of like into the anatomical weeds. A lot of this was stuff I did not recognize as like parts of the body.
Sure.
The paper that I was reading like specifically said, it sounded to me like basically certain segments of the body were more distinctly divided and developed than they would be in a larva. So the researchers who identified the species felt pretty confident that they are adults, but they're just adults that retain a lot of larval features into adulthood. Not just the larval features, but they retain the larval features and also the lifestyle, right? That like planktonic, like drifting through the water lifestyle rather than settling into the sediment like other polychaete worms. And this retention of juvenile features into adulthood is something called pedomorphosis, which we've talked about on the show before with things like axolotls, which also retain their juvenile traits into adulthood rather than metamorphosing into their adult form. So they have chosen to reject tube, become butt.
Good for them.
Good for them, indeed. So why do this? This is a wild choice. Very silly. The paper that I was reading about this kind of suggested that this could have to do with where they are found. So like I mentioned earlier, they're found in a pretty narrow range of depths. And that range of depths is right at the bottom of something that's called the oxygen minimum zone.
Okay.
Have you heard about this?
It sounds like something from the Meg movie.
This is actually what they were talking about in the Meg.
Oh, okay.
The Pigbutt worm. No, I'm joking.
It's just Jason Statham looking like just out of pocket the whole movie.
Okay, so in the ocean, oxygen is highest in two places. One of those places is close to the surface, which makes sense because just oxygen from the atmosphere is just dissolving into the water. You're close to where most of the oxygen is, so that makes sense. But the other place it's the highest is weirdly at the bottom, because at the bottom of the ocean, the water is the coldest. So the lower the temperature of water, the better it dissolves oxygen. So oxygen actually dissolves more readily into cold water. And where is the water the coldest? At the bottom.
Okay.
So you've got these two zones where oxygen is more likely to be dissolved into the water, which gives you the strip in the middle where there is like little to no oxygen. And that's the oxygen minimum zone.
Okay.
So why would anything want to live here? This seems like no man's land. Like it seems like a dead zone, right? But the thing is, larger predators can't survive there because they have high metabolic needs, larger bodies, larger metabolisms. You know, they need to be moving their body more. So they cannot survive in these oxygen minimum zones. So if you can survive in the oxygen minimum zone, you are set. Like you are safe. Like there's very little that is going to be like trying to tussle with you in the oxygen minimum zone. Also, a lot of marine snow tends to make its way down here, which marine snow we've talked about before is basically all of the gunk. It's all the little bits of poop and dead things, chunks, pieces of body, just like organic matter in general, just the little pieces of stuff that just drifts down the water column. You know, something, maybe a fish dies and is, you know, decomposing up in towards the surface, or, you know, a shark makes a kill and, you know, all the little bits of fish come off of it, or, you know, fish just pooping up there. All that stuff just falls down and it tends to accumulate here in this oxygen minimum zone. So basically the pigbutt worm has prioritized neutral buoyancy so that they can stay floating in this area without having to expend effort to do it, and energetic efficiency so that they don't have to propel themselves in the water. They're filter feeders also. They like let their prey, not their prey, but like they let their food sort of come to them. They don't really have to do anything. So they're so like metabolically efficient that they really don't need very much oxygen at all, because they've made those trade-offs of like not burrowing and not, you know, settling to the bottom and all that stuff.
Did you happen to come across if they're able to control their buoyancy at all, or is it just a constant type thing?
So in the paper, they talked about how it seemed like the worm is able to sort of contract itself like under physical stimulation.
Okay.
Like it's able to like retract parts of its body, but that doesn't seem to like cause it to sink or anything, but it would sink if it was punctured. So like if it sustained like an injury or something, it would sink.
Okay. I was wondering, because the thing about neutral buoyancy is that is different based on depth.
Yeah.
So like if it's not changing at all and it started to go deeper than what it's supposed to, it will start sinking.
Yeah.
And the inverse is if it was brought up to a higher depth without changing anything, it would start to float.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seemed like this, I'm going to talk about this in just a second, but it seemed like this thing could do very little about its situation in any way.
So that's interesting then that its neutral buoyancy is
specifically developed for that zone.
For that exact death. I mean, Jesus is taking the wheel here. This thing is not the master of its own fate in any capacity. Huh. So yeah, they've just kind of prioritized like this buoyancy and this lifestyle of drifting and living life on, completely passive existence so that they could take advantage of this ecological sort of niche of living specifically in this hostile environment that not very many other things can live in. Also, the mouth end is the heaviest part, so they always face down. Butthole to the heavens.
I see.
Pointing straight up, showing their booty to God. Daring him to look.
All right.
And when you look at pictures of the pigbutt worm, it can be incomprehensible. It's difficult to tell what you're looking at because it just looks like a butt. Huh. But it does have, if you get a picture of the mouth parts, which are the parts that point down, the mouth parts weirdly look like a second smaller butt that's like attached to the bigger butt.
Okay.
And the part that looks like a butthole, and that is their actual butthole.
All right.
It's not. I'm going to show you a picture. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep. Yeah.
That's the actual butthole.
Huh.
Like, it's not just, that's funny. It looks like that is what it is.
Huh.
Yeah. Very fun. So yeah, the mouth parts just look like a second butt attached to the butt, which is great because so nice to do it twice, I guess. Which brings you to the question that you asked earlier of how do they eat anyway? You're going to love this. The pigbutt expels a cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Already. That's awesome.
Yeah.
They expel a cloud of mucus, and that comes from the ciliated groove.
Oh.
So a cloud of mucus bursts forth from the butt crack.
Mm-hmm.
And that mucus kind of ensnares, like thickens around marine snow as it's falling around them. It kind of gunks it up and like traps it in this like cloud surrounding it. And then the worm just kind of periodically slurps it back up, slurps up the snot, poop, fart cloud right back up in their little mouth and just slurps up whatever got caught in it.
Well, all right.
You asked. Good soup.
Yeah.
So they fart out a snot cloud and then slurp it back up once it's full of poop. I don't know how else I could tailor this specifically to the 8-year-old boy demographic.
I wonder if this has been caught on video before.
I mean, there's quite a few like ROV videos of them. I mean, a lot of these observations were made in like laboratory settings where they were able to like take live specimens, and the live specimens didn't live for that long. I want to say they had a live specimen live for like 6 days, like after taking it in.
Yeah.
So, you do what you can. Well, one of the things they did was poke it. And upon being poked, they were found to exhibit bioluminescence.
Oh.
Yeah, so they do glow a bright blue light, both like upon physical stimulation, they would have this sort of like local glowing, like they just glow. And also they would secrete some glowing particles into the mucus cloud.
Oh.
So they would like cultivate this sort of like aura, I guess, around them, which actually reminds me a lot of the vampire squid.
Yeah.
Because vampire squid would do something like this. It would have like glowing ink, but that was to like escape predators. This doesn't make any sense to me because basically once you start glowing, that is like a big giant neon sign that says, hey, please come eat me. Like there's nothing I can do about this. And then they can't do anything. Like what is this doing for you? Oh no, now you've got a big glowing mucus cloud. Where are you going? Nowhere. You can't swim. What's the game plan here? I don't get it. So yeah, that was my big effectiveness deduction because they have literally no game plan. Nothing. There's nothing they can do.
Rip.
Yeah, it's really just like living in this place where very few other things can live. I feel like is their biggest strat here. Which brings me to ingenuity for the pigbutt worm. I think this is maybe my lowest score ever. I'm giving them a 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
Usually I can find something. Usually I can find something. They can't do anything. They cannot do anything. So here's a quote from the paper. There was no active response to light, water disturbance, or the sound of the ROV other than a slight contraction of regions A and C. So that's the front and the hind segments. And the mid-dorsal ciliated groove. So they kind of like pucker their butthole when there's a loud sound, which relatable. I mean, who doesn't? They go on to say, no settling behavior was observed in animals kept in the laboratory, nor was swimming observed. There was no apparent ability to interact with any surface or object other than the mucus cloud. Specimens did not display any locomotory abilities. So the scientists were basically like, they ain't doing nothing. They can't do nothing.
That puts them at least one notch below things like jellyfish.
I know. I did not think we would ever get a notch below jellyfish, but they're literally like the only sort of like interaction they have with the world around them is that they can kind of scrunch up a little bit and they can slurp up their mucus cloud.
Well,
yeah. I'm sorry, y'all. But also, I'm like roasting them, but also, God, I wish that were me. What I wouldn't give. I wish all of this was so far away from me that all I knew was mucus clouds and glowing particles.
I bet Pigbutt doesn't care about price of eggs.
You think, you know what? Actually, I just heard we've got a 49% tariff on Pigbutt worms. I just heard about the tariffs on the midnight zone.
Dang. This will encourage manufacture of
domestic production of
deep nightmares in domestic soil.
Bringing mucus cloud production back to
Yikes.
I also was thinking about how new word for laziness just dropped. I'm energetically efficient, baby.
I've always thought of myself in that way.
I'm managing my resources, honey.
Why use big movement when little movement does fine?
Or in some cases, turns out no movement. Finally, for aesthetics for the Pigbutt worm, I'm giving them a full 10 out of 10. This is, as the youths call it.
Don't.
I have to.
All right.
A yacht.
Yeah. Dang.
I'm having a good time.
You are.
They're so juicy.
All right.
I don't know what to tell you. There's something kind of cute about them. Also, if you see the right picture, they're heart shaped.
Aw.
That's pretty cute, right?
Yeah.
They're cute in the way that like a peach is cute.
You don't say.
Yeah. Come on, guys. I like a Pigbutt worm. That's the Pigbutt worm.
Thanks, babe.
You're welcome. You're all welcome. I learned about deep sea worms for you people.
Once more.
Again. All right, well, that about does it for you. Thank you so much for spending this time with us and listening to our podcast today. If you liked what you heard, we would love it if you could leave behind some kind words for us in a review on your podcast app of choice, like Corazoni, who wrote, I love you guys. I listen to you almost every night, and you guys are so cheerful and happy. You bring up my day every day. Thank you for all you do. Such an amazing podcast. P.S. Your theme music is great.
Woo!
Thank you. I agree. I love that theme music. Louis Zong knocked it out of the park. Also, Kelly, sorry I can't see the rest of your username. If there was more of it after Kelly, I can't see it, but left a review on my birthday on March 17th. Just what I wanted, a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. How did you know? It was on my Amazon wish list. Kelly said, in a world filled with chaos, just the zoo of us is a bright spot in my day. Every episode is packed with fascinating animal facts that I can't help but share with friends, family, and coworkers. It's always a guaranteed mood booster. We got some doozies for you this time.
There you go.
Hope your coworkers like this one. Hope they like the Pigbutt worm. Kelly goes on to say, Ellen and Christian's dynamic is fantastic. Their guests are inspiring, and everyone's love for animals is infectious. Thank you, Ellen, for asking your guests for pronouns. It makes the show feel truly welcoming. So in true Just the Zoo of Us fashion, ingenuity, 10 out of 10, completely unique, and incredibly infectious, I haven't met another podcast like it. Effectiveness, 10 out of 10. I now spread animal trivia like confetti.
Yay.
And aesthetics, 10 out of 10. Can't see a podcast, but this one is pure audio gold. Thank you for making the world a little wilder in the best way. Ah, thank you, Kelly.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for participating in our bit also. I like it when people buy into our gimmick.
Yeah.
So thank you. That really made me happy to hear. Also, did you know, I just figured this out the other day. Did you know that on Spotify, we have 552 5-star ratings?
Oh.
552 ratings, 5.0.
Nice.
Is that wild to you or what?
Those don't overlap with Apple, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Have nothing to do with the Apple ones. This is just on Spotify.
Huh.
And Spotify does it in that way where you have to at least listen to some of it.
Okay.
Like you can't leave a review, like a rating on a podcast you've never listened to.
Yeah.
And on Spotify, we're rocking a 5.0.
There we go.
And 5.0 with 552 ratings, that means all of them were 5.0. That's
nice.
Crazy. Or I don't know, maybe some of them weren't. And Spotify has a generous rounding mechanism.
Enough to round to one decimal point of...
Statistically insignificant. All my haters are statistically insignificant.
Got him.
We'd like to thank Maximum Fun for having us on their network alongside the other amazing shows that you heard promos for earlier. If you want to go check out the other shows on the network or learn how you can either be a part of supporting our show and go check out our exclusive bonus content for members, head over to MaximumFun.org. And finally, we'd like to thank Louis Zong for our theme music, which is a real banger bop, as the youths call it.
So I hear.
Yeah. I got gyat, I got banger, I'm having a Sigma day over here.
Oh no.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Have a skibbity day.
Oof.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
Supported
directly
by you.